like I'm to the point now with tractor equipment, I think whatever they sold, we would buy because of the service.
You're listening to the Skid Steer Nation podcast. I'm your host, Ryan Deemer, and today we have a gentleman from Mobile, Alabama. From greasy rags and wrenches and working on cars to a pandemic that we're all very familiar with, to now operating his own business with 7 full-time employees. We're going to hear all about his story and how he got to where he is today in just 1 second. Before I introduce Jeston to the show today, I do want to remind all of you that Skid Steer Nation is the proud home for American-made skid steer attachments. You can find us over at skidsteernation.com. There's a link into the show notes at the bottom of the page. We only work with American manufacturers that they're more worried about the quality of their build than the extra percentage of profit they could add by thinning out materials or things that the large corporations do. We have vetted all of these manufacturers ourselves. I come from a manufacturing background. We trust their products. We know they'll work for you. You will receive a better ROI in your business. Having the right tool saves you time, money. Actually, and the side benefit is that it will increase employee retention because the better tools you give them, they don't want to leave and go work with the old school tools. So head over to skidsteernation.com, find the next attachment to make your project run smooth. Mr. Anderson, I had to get my Matrix plug in there. Mobile, Alabama. Yeah, Mobile, Alabama. You own a business called Oak Lake Land Clearing.
Yep.
And over the course of the last 4 years, you have went from side hustle while full-time mechanic to full-time with 7 employees. That's very, very impressive.
Thank you. It's been a journey so far.
Well,
for sure.
Yeah.
You know, like anything.
I'm going to guess a roller coaster journey.
Yeah. Yes.
Some ups, some downs. Yeah. Some big downs, some small ups.
Yeah. Flips, the whole 9 yards.
Yeah. Oh man, I could only imagine, man. When you started this, just as a side project, I mean, I think I'm going to assume, I should ask the question instead of assume, but I'm going to assume that you had a vision like, hey, I could do this full time. But
yeah,
did you ever imagine that you wanted to hire 7 employees before you started hiring?
No. And so I've been my dad has been in the automotive industry pretty much his whole working career. And that's what I grew up around. And we actually worked a dealership together, and we started our own business, automotive repair business, in 2007. And so we were partners in that. And I was just getting burnt out. I mean, I was just kind of over everything to do with that industry, honestly. And I had made up my mind I wanted to get into forestry mulching. I thought that would be like a good solo thing. I could just go be by myself, be in a machine. And then my dad was like, well, hey, maybe we could go in together on this. And we kind of hemmed all around about it. And I finally was like, hey, I'm just going to pull the trigger on it. I'm ready to do it. But we ended up going together again on this venture. We're kind of partners on this, partners on the shop, the whole deal. But he handles more of the stuff to do with the shop, and I kind of handle this deal. But kind of went into it as a solo deal, kind of to get away from headache, you know. And so, but one thing over the years, one thing led to another, and kind of where we are now. So it kind of escalated as we went along.
That's amazing. How many employees did you have at your peak at the automotive shop?
Probably the most we ever had was, I would say, in the 6 to 8 range. I don't remember exactly, but somewhere around there.
So you've outpaced the automotive business that you guys own in
That's right.
less than 4 years.
Yeah. So one thing I've learned about this business, though, take a lot of money in and a lot goes back out. So we'd have to weigh out the retention there on which one's, better. But it's been cool.
That's fantastic, man. God, that's so cool. I'm going to assume that now that we've been a few years into this business, you realize that you didn't really just run away from headaches. You just found new ones.
Yeah. Newer, sometimes bigger. Yeah. Different, Yeah. Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. I always love it when you hear someone's like, yeah, I'm going to go do this. I'm tired of the stress and the headaches. And I'm like, yeah, you're not running away from them. You're just going to get new ones.
Yes. Absolutely.
Business ownership is not stress-free. That's called retirement.
No, and I think to do it right, if you're doing anything right, it's going to have a level of stress, because you've got to take on that responsibility, to do, I feel like at least, what I'm saying, if you're trying to really do a good job, you're going to have stress because you're trying to please people, you're trying to make sure things are done right. And so I think with anything, you're gonna have some of that, no matter what line of work you're in.
Absolutely, you are. Some people thrive on it.
Yeah.
Some people cave under it. So that's the difference. And that's why I think it's so important that it's okay if you want to be in a one man show and just do projects by yourself and 1 or 2 a week. Like if that's your level of success that you're happy with, don't get distracted by social media, other business owners,
Yes.
gurus. Like find your balance and live your life.
Absolutely. Yes. I would 100% agree with that.
Man, I mean, because when I was 25, 30 years old, I was like, we're going to have 100 employees, multiple locations. We're going to be doing 25 million a year in revenue between all the bars and restaurants. Now that I'm almost 50, and I'm like, I could maybe hire 2 more and that'd be good. Like,
right.
A team of 7 and then shut her down. Like, I don't need to go conquer the world. I need to make an impact. My whole vision's changed from conquering to impacting.
Yeah, for sure.
So that's awesome, man. So I'm going to, mulching it may have been what started you, but I'm going to assume that you don't do a fraction of the mulching versus what other services you offer now.
No, we really don't do any anymore. We still have a machine. As a matter of fact, they're kind of our first machine that we got. We still have it, but it sits more than anything, and we use it on kind of our personal stuff. And we use it if we are clear, and sometimes we'll use it just kind of to reduce our haul off. If we got long hauls or something like that. But we really got away from that. So started with a skid steer, had a mini X with a mulching head on it, and then got a dedicated machine. And it got us going, and then it really kind of funded moving into other stuff. But we moved away from it.
Yeah, but it's true what you're saying there, right? Like I think when you have an actual dedicated machine, everyone else around you says, "Oh, he's for real."
Yes,
right. It's not just an attachment for a skid steer anymore.
No, and it was a really good move for us when we were into that, because we probably doubled our business, if not more, having that machine, because we were set apart, and people that's had a skid steer come in there before, and they didn't, weren't able to get as much done as what they thought everybody's expectations are a lot greater most of the time than what reality is, and so it did help us a lot. But just constantly buying wear parts and hoses and different things, it's just like bleeding money out of your back pocket.
Yeah, my idea I've always had since we're on online sales was like, I probably will never do it, but I really need to get a subscription based mulching head wear product. Like, hey, every 30, like pick 30, 45, 60 days. How many teeth do you want us to send? You don't even need to order them. They'll just show up at your door. Like
that'd be a smart idea, to be honest with you. Because that's repeat business. You're gonna keep getting those calls. If you're in it, it's a constant.
And I have to assume, just like the things that I have to continually reorder, I'm always like, fuck, I got to order it again. Or, I forgot to order it last week. And I have to assume the teeth are similar to that, where you guys get thinking about the next project and you're like, oh man, I didn't order those. So now it's going to take an extra 4 hours, or I got to grind an extra 2 until those things show up on Friday.
Yeah, for sure.
Where if you just always had them rolling in.
Yeah, you never run out.
Yeah, oil, grease.
When you buy in bulk, because if you buy in bulk, you always think, oh yeah, I've got 3 sets, and you go to grab them. It's like, I guess I grabbed the last time.
I got 4 left. Whoops.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what doors did that open for you? Like what other types of services did you start seeing?
So I went to met with a customer one day that they just told me they wanted to clear a lot or whatever. And so I went over there, and when I got there, I realized it wasn't just mulching. They wanted everything cleared. It was about 3 acres. And I was like, well, crap, I really hadn't thought about this, just because, we advertise as mulching. And so that's the bulk of what we got. And so anyway, we priced it, we got the job, and I rented the track home, and we did that. And I was like, man, this is actually, I really liked that a whole lot better. But while we were there, it was crazy because that was the first call we had gotten for like true clearing. And then all of a sudden, like, had 3 or 4 more lined up. Well, we were 5 months into a rental, and we were steadily filling our schedule with, actual clearing and stuff. And so we ended up buying a Komatsu 210, and then not long after that, bought a 550 John Deere dozer with a rake. So we were in it at that point for the clearing. That started the transition away from mulching into more clearing. And we had a few builders we were working for, and one of them in particular was like, "Hey, we want you to do our pads as well." And I really didn't want anything to do with dirt, just because life was simple. At that point, it's me and one other guy, and it was like, if it rains out, it's just me and one other person. We don't have to deal with trucks, the whole 9 yards. And so eventually I did the first house pad, and I was like, well, that wasn't that bad. And then, so once I agreed to the first one, he started sending us more. And then I realized, well, hard to make money doing house pads if you can't haul your own dirt. So we bought an old dump truck, started hauling, and then had a need for another truck. So we ended up buying another truck and hired a driver. And then it kind of just morphed. And so we were doing just a lot of like clearing, hauling off debris, house pads, driveways, culverts, stuff like that. And it was good. And then, like I said, we rolled on with that for a little while. And then we started kind of getting more into the commercial stuff. And that was a different ballgame there. And I can tell you how we got into the commercial if you would like.
Yeah, I'd love to.
So we were clearing a lot, and we were trying to finish one up. And so we were in there on a Saturday finishing up, and this guy pulled up, and he was like, "Hey, how much do y'all get to mulch?" And I told him, and we talked, and I said, "Well, how much do you have?" He said, "Well, I've got 120 acres down the road. I'm going to do the whole thing." And I was like, "Okay." And so anyway, we started doing some work for him. He was developing it. He was just busting up lots, and he was selling large, 10, 12, 15 acre lots. We worked for him a lot, and we got to kind of be friends. I had no idea what he did for a living. And I told him, I said, I'd really like to start getting into some commercial stuff. And he was like, what kind of stuff you want? So like site work and that sort of thing. Well, it turned out he was a project manager for a big GC in town. And fast forward a little bit, he calls me one day and he was like, "You better not let me down." And I'm like, "What? All right, what you talking about?" And he said, "A guy from the office is going to be calling you. He's like, about a $500,000 site work job. We're going to give you a shot on it." And so that was our first commercial site work job. And
your first wait, hold on. Your first commercial site work job was a $500,000 project?
Yeah. And then we got another one under contract within about 2 weeks for that, for like $455. So that was our first 2 commercial jobs.
So you're just not a big fan of dipping your toes in the water, are you? It's like deep end, let's dive in. Like, yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of like jumping into a pool. You can't swim, you just start paddling and figure it out.
We'll figure it out. I mean, $500,000 site work, I mean, that's a lot of work, especially for a small crew.
It is. And so it had a turn lanes, had some DOT work. I mean, we were in over our heads. And so my mentality was like, we just got to figure it out. We don't have a choice. Like, this is our shot. Whatever it takes, we're gonna get in there and do it. So and we did. It worked out good, and had good luck. And we've grown a really good relationship with that contractor, and we've done quite a bit for them.
So if there's guys out there that are doing a lot of residential work, maybe they're dabbling in commercial, but they really like it and they want to get more into that, like, what are some things that they need to be looking out for, whether it be on the contractual side or the general contractors themselves? Like, what information can you provide them that'll kind of make that transition into commercial easier, so there's less things to learn the hard way?
Well, just from the basic side, definitely contract. Read all the contracts and making sure you have the right exclusions in there. So like dewatering or unsuitable soil, stuff like that could really burn you. If you don't have an exclusion, you get in there and you have to undercut the site another 3 foot and you don't have that in your contract, well, that could put you under if you're just getting going. So that's one thing. And I would just also say, just when you do get your shot, do what you say you're going to do. Don't leave them hanging, because that's one thing I've noticed. It's probably a lot of contractors, fight it is, their subs not doing what they say they're going to do. If they say they're going to start on that date, they're expecting you to be there, unless y'all agreed on something else. So like, do that. If they give you a list of things that, hey, this is stuff we really need to get handled, don't sweep it under the rug. Get them, give it your all while you're there and give them your full attention, and I mean, it sounds basic, but, we see it from other subs that are working on the same jobs that, they're ready to run half of the crews off because they're not really holding up to their end of the deal. And, you start dragging their projects out, and that might be your last one with them. So
yeah,
I think
the
basic side of it.
I don't think until you get into that arena, you don't realize the ripple effect you have on 7 other subcontractors.
Absolutely.
I mean,
well, if we're doing site, you're the first one in there. And so that starts, they've got a timeline of when they're going to pour the slab. If it's a metal building, they've got a metal building order, and they're going to have a crew be coming in. So you drag them out 2 weeks, all of those subs they're trying to make a schedule as well. And so, I mean, you alone as a site contractor can extend a job, you can blow their deadline by potentially months from a 2 or 3 week late start, if you said, from when you say you're going to be there.
Yeah. Or if you just take 2 weeks longer to finish.
Yeah. Well, and I found that they're a little more forgiving with that if they see that if you're
on-site,
getting after it and you're doing it, but like just not showing up, or you pull off, hey, I had to go do this little thing. They don't like that. You know what I mean? And so, and some of it's unavoidable, but I think good communication going in, if you tell them, hey, we've got 2 other jobs going on, and there's going to be a couple of points in this project. We're going to have to, make these contractors happy. And we're going to have a couple of points. They go in at least expecting that,
Right. Yeah. You're doing something unique with your business, not so much your commercial, not so much the actual service that you provide, but like the back end of your business. And I'm kind of intrigued to talk to you a little bit about it. Like you've got Oak Lake Land Clearing.
Yep.
But then you also have a doing business as associated to that for Anderson Site Development.
Yep, that's right.
And you're basically divided those names on commercial and non-commercial work.
Yep.
What was the mindset behind that?
Well, the first time it hit me was when I was sitting in a meeting with a property owner. It was me, the GC, and the developer, and we were bidding a 7-figure job. It was all site work, 90% of the site work, and that's the first time it hit me. We're sitting here pitching to these people. It was down to us and one other contractor. And our name had land clearing in it. And we're trying to sell them almost $2 million site work package. And I was like, this almost makes it feel like site work is an afterthought. And so that's when I kind of got on the ball with that, because you know what I'm saying, it's perception a little bit, because they might have been scratching their head a little bit like, so do y'all clear land? Or, did y'all start doing this yesterday? It's your first job? Like, what's the deal here, And so that's where that came from.
Yeah. What have been the benefits or drawbacks, either one? Mm-hmm. Like, is it confusing to customers? Like, what have you noticed now that you've had that for a little while, operating basically one company with two names, even though it's kind of 2 divisions? But I don't really know that I've seen.
I don't know that I've seen really either way matter, being honest with you. Now, I may not realize that it matters, but like, definitely haven't seen any negatives from it. But I think like I said, I think it's strictly just a perception base. It just looks kind of out of whack if you've got a quote unquote land clearing company out there, building a 6-acre laydown yard or whatever.
Yeah.
I don't know. You know what I'm saying?
So let me ask you this question.
It's not so much to pass for buyers, but I'm more talking about the people that are actually paying for the work, or are you trying to pitch yourself to them?
Yeah. So if let's just say it this way, if I lived in Georgia, so that way I'm not in your backyard,
Mm-hmm.
I'm in land clearing and I call you up and say, hey, I want to get into site development. Would you recommend that I do a DBA for commercial work to make it look like we're a site development company fully?
That or just change the name. Me personally, something construction, something.
Okay. So do one or the other.
Just, yeah, but the Oak Lake Land Clear name was just a kind of somewhat of an established name, even though it was short term. We had a good customer base. I don't want somebody, go look up the phone number and it's not existent in anything. Oh, they're out of business. We'll call the next guy. So they really want to hang that up.
And looking at those two names, I'm like, God, they really hit it out of the park for both sides of it. Because if I'm a property owner, like land clearing, I'm like, oh yeah, that's what I need. Like, it sounds like, yeah. Right. Site development sounds like, oh, engineers and plans. And so if I'm a homeowner looking for a company, I'm not familiar to anyone in the area, like site development, it may scare me off a little bit.
Right.
Like, oh, he does bigger shit than I need. Like, he's not the right guy for me, you know, but land clearing, like, yeah, I'll give him a call.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know if it was by design that way. I mean, I guess it really wasn't. Like,
it really was, because
your design was more for the commercial side, not the residential, but yeah.
Right. Yep, for sure.
I love that. So do you have dedicated crews or do you commingle the crews based on the project?
I've got a couple of guys that I tend to leave more on the clearing and, house pads and stuff like that, just because they kind of excel more there, but it really just depends what we've got going on. And so had actually thought about getting out of residential altogether, but what it's kind of allowed us to do is to keep a bigger crew and keep people busy. Not busy, just busy work, but I can have the manpower. So if we do get a job where we need everybody on a big site job, can pull them and not having to, because we could do, like, commercial wise, we could probably do the same amount of work with a couple less people. But we've had some jobs and we've got a couple coming up where we're probably not going to be doing a whole lot of residential, because I'm going to need all those people, on our commercial side. So it works out really good in that, in that manner.
So, I mean, and again, I'm asking you some hypothetical questions, and
yeah,
I'm kind of banging you hard. So,
yeah.
If I was your accountant and I said, hey, Jeston, you're only making 5% after all expenses on 90% of your residential jobs.
Yeah.
Because you're not losing money, would that make you excited that you had the available crew for large commercial projects, or would you actually think about closing it?
No, I would keep it.
So as long as it's not costing you money, you're in.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, because the manpower when you need it, and I just feel like if you got good people, and we do, you can't just go say, hey, we're starting this job next month. I need somebody that's proven, that I know what they do. I know they're going to do a good job. They're honest. Just to be able to pull them that quick. I just don't think the labor pool's that plentiful to be able to just do that, because a lot of good people, those companies know they're good, and they're try to keep them,
Yeah. And the guys that do work on bad crews, they're looking for stability, not
right
fluctuating work.
Yes.
No, I think that's really smart. So speaking of employees, you're running a crew. Is it you and 7 employees? So 8 total?
Right now I'm part of the 7.
So you're okay. So
yeah, we were at 9 a couple of months ago. One guy was a laborer, and another guy, he was an operator, but he left for one of those jobs you really couldn't turn down. So
yeah. How many people do you think you went through to get to the crew you currently have today?
Not many. So, like, most of these people, when they came on, they've stuck around.
What do you think your key to that success was?
I really don't know, and I don't know what the magic answer that is, but I'm not a micromanager. I hope that would probably help. So, like, I'm kind of under, and I'm probably a little too easy in regards, but, like, kind of the way I look at it, everybody's doing what they're supposed to do. I don't really bust too many balls for negligent stuff. Like, if it's something, like, I've been, like, micromanaged before, and I hated that. Just this least little thing, and they're making a mountain out of something that's just not really that big of a deal. You know what I'm saying? And so we try to have a good time, do what we got to do. we like to laugh and, have a good time. And so I think maybe just having a more laid back work environment, I would like to think helps, but I can't tell you the exact secret ingredient there if there is one.
No, I don't think there's not one thing that any business owner can say, hey, do this and you'll hire great people, right? But I think you can look and study other people's actions.
Right.
Say, oh, look at the trends.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Because I can tell you firsthand, when I ran a manufacturing company, I was the same way with the guys in the shop, and our welder turnover was super low.
Yeah.
Like, even the guys would get offered a job for $1.50 more an hour. They wouldn't leave because they had a ton of freedom.
Yeah.
We weren't slow in the winter. They didn't get laid off. They didn't even have to worry about looking busy. I didn't care.
Yeah.
But when we got busy in the spring and summer, and I'm not hiring more people because I don't do layoffs.
Yeah.
So they would give you all they had in the busy months. And that was the trade-off, right? Like,
yeah.
I won't bother you in January for being on your phone for an hour in the middle of the day, because literally there's nothing to weld other than some parts we need for March, right? And we're a family-owned manufacturer. We don't need thousands of them. We need 50 of them, right?
Right.
So it was, again, so it's that laid-back work atmosphere. I think the open communication about that too. Not having a hidden agenda, them knowing you don't have a hidden agenda.
Yeah.
And then just being able to share where you see the business going in a little bit farther, and then hiring people that match your values. I think that by far is number one on the list. If you hire for skill set and the guy's an asshole, he'll erode 6 people in your company.
Yeah, absolutely.
So quit asking for guys that know how to operate.
Yeah.
That's my biggest thing.
Yeah.
That's awesome, man. Looking back over these last 4 years, does it feel surreal? Does it feel like you're on a rocket ship or just on a slow moving train? Like, how have you taken this in?
I mean, at times we've grown probably too fast, but it's worked out, but like, I mean, it's a big jump. I mean, there's some big steps that, like, just equipment wise, equipment needed to clear lots is a lot different when, you start buying GPS dozers and track hoes and, total stations and basin rovers. It's like, it's just a big jump.
Yeah.
And so, like, it'll hit you sometimes. It's like, how do you keep the wheels on this? It almost seems overwhelming sometimes if you really look at you stand back and look at it and you go, man, we can't have off days. You know what I'm saying? It seems so. I don't know if surreal. We've kind of just gone where opportunities have arose, if that makes sense.
It does. And thinking about that, like, guys out there are hearing $500,000 project bids, $1.5 million project bids, going, damn, that's what I want to be. All I heard is capital investment, because you don't have the equipment to sustain $1.5 million project. So that means you got to go spend.
Yeah.
And you can rent, lease, or buy, but again, it's capital investment.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. And we do rent some. And we did we did a job last year. It was a 6 acre container yard that we had to demo 6 acres of concrete, crush it all on site, cut, fill, lay the crushed concrete back down, and then haul in rock for the rest. Had to put a rock on it, and that one was kind of like one of those over our head projects, and especially for the size of our crew, there was a lot going on there to pull it off, and we still had a timeline. And but we rented some equipment. We rented a crusher, and we had rented another excavator with a jackhammer. Had a off-road truck, a couple things like that. But I don't think renting's a bad thing but you've got to have, you just obviously have to price it accordingly, because rent will eat you up. I don't think it's a good long-term investment, if you want to even call it an investment, but, to get through something that's maybe you don't have all the equipment for, I think it's a good option, because at the end of the job, you turn it in and at least that bill stops.
Right. And again, like, I think the number is going to be different for everybody out there, but I think my personal opinion How many hours a year do you need a machine to operate to justify the ownership cost of that machine? Is it 50? Is it 500? Is it 200? Like if you're only using an excavator certain size, 120 hours for the whole year, does it justify buying it? Like,
no.
yeah.
Yeah, I think it needs to be something you're using on a regular basis to where it would not make sense to rent. So I mean, if you're renting to do a job and then the next time you use it's next month, I'm gonna just rent it.
Yeah.
You know,
and even if
like,
and even if you get a project that lasts 6 weeks and you got to rent for 6 weeks, and guys will lose their mind over that, right? Writing that check every week. They're like, I should have just bought it. And I'm like, yeah, but it's going to sit for 6 months.
Yeah.
Once this project's done, just pay the bill.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think it definitely needs to make sense. And I mean, we've made really good purchases. I feel like everything we bought has been one of those things after you've had it a while. It's like, crap, how are we doing without that?
Yeah.
You know, we've had one piece of equipment we bought that just didn't work out. It was a wheel loader, and it was really a little too big for some of the projects we had going on. And it just didn't. And so I turned around and sold it, you know, but like for the most part, we've made some pretty good choices, but it needs to be something definitely you're using on a regular basis to justify, I feel like, committing to that purchase.
Yeah. Are you the mechanic on the team?
Yeah. A lot of things. Yeah.
just can't get out of the shop, huh?
Yeah. Well, and it just depends what we have. I mean, there's a lot of times that I just do not have the time.
Yeah.
And, you know, we run mostly Komatsu stuff, and our Komatsu dealer they've got a really good service department, and they take care of us. And so we use them a lot, just for the time factor. You know, downtime is money. You know, I can't always stop and do stuff, you know. So
yeah, I'm having a mental moment. The Komatsu dealer in Alabama, something tractor, right?
Yep, Tractor Equipment Company.
TAC. Tractor. TAC. Yeah, they're.
Yep.
And the reason I was having a hard time, like, God, I know the name because they're actually really good. I know guys that have bought there. My friend's uncle worked there forever.
Yeah.
So like, that's another topic that I love talking about. Like, does the name on the equipment matter more than the service of the dealership to you?
Well, it just so happens with them. I love the equipment and the dealer, but I feel like service is like, I'm to the point now with Tractor Equipment. I think whatever they sold, we would buy because of the service. Because we had another piece of equipment. We still have it, and the dealer we have to use for it. They're really great people, but their service is extremely slow, and it's hard to be without a machine for 3 and 4 weeks at a time, you know. And I think service would absolutely trump, you know, the brand, unless it's just a brand you really hate, you know. Because I mean, I would feel like most of equipment out there is pretty good stuff.
I mean, let's be honest. The technology in the top 6, 7 companies.
Yes.
I mean, you're splitting hairs.
You really are.
Well, this one rides smoother. Okay, I get it. But the technology advancements, they're all. I mean.
Yeah, we got great stuff. All of them have really good stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that, I mean, there's some manufacturers out there I feel like are more general, more purpose driven. You know, like if I was doing a lot of earthwork and just doing like trying to push and everything else, I would pray to God that my Takeuchi dealer was good in that area, because they're like mini bulldozers.
That's what I've heard. I've never.
But it's a shitty ride, you know. But that's the trade off, right? Like,
yeah,
I can do a lot more with a 100-horse skid steer that I don't need to have larger equipment for, but it's going to be a bumpy. And then, you know, I feel like Cat has just become like the general. Like, it's okay at everything. It's not great at anything. The forestry package on it, it's not bad, but still people swear by ASV and other things. And you know, and like, again, like Case, New Holland, Deere, it's, if the dealer's good in your area, they're all 74 or 95 horse, and they all can lift 5,000 pounds, and they all have creep mode now. They all have GPS capabilities. They've all got in-cab touch screens.
Yeah, absolutely. 100% agree with that.
Nice, man. What's your vision for the next 5?
It's hard to say, and I know that you should always have a vision,
Yeah.
And, you know, in a sense, because I feel like your vision can change sometimes, you know, with circumstances. So, you know, we're steadily growing, you know, but I want to grow. We made some really big leaps the last few years that I don't want to keep going quite like that. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm afraid there's a point where you jump too big and you realize, I mean, it takes a lot of work to maintain that. And there's a lot of work going on that, you know, in our area as well. So, I mean, I don't think work in the next couple of years is going to be really a problem. Yeah, but I would just say like a steady growth, you know, and not trying to cap it. You know, wherever it ends up is where it ends up.
So if you ended up with 70 employees in 10 years, you'd be like, cool.
Depends the stress level, you know. So
we're supposed to hire layers of management to manage some of that.
Well, and that's the thing. Like we're kind of to the point with much more growth than where we're at. We're gonna have to get more systems with you know, probably like foreman, superintendents, that sort of thing, to kind of keep more of that, because trying to run jobs, you know, doing stuff with billing and everything, it's just a lot for, you know, one or two people to do.
Are you still doing billing and office work?
My wife does a lot of that.
Okay.
My mom is a CPA, so she does a lot of that. So that definitely, between those two, it does help a lot. There's just a lot of paperwork with it all, you know.
You get into commercial.
You know, a lot of red tape, you know, just constantly somebody's got a form or a packet to fill out, or, you know, they need the certificate or an updated, you know, proof of insurance.
And you can't just glance at it, because one sentence.
Yes, absolutely. So, yeah, I would say the vision would just be steady growth and then better systems in place for, I guess, the project management, if you want to call it. So that sort of thing. So it's, but yeah,
that's fantastic.
Definitely not trying to cap it all for anything like that.
Yeah, I'm just curious, because like we talked about earlier, like your level of success could be whatever you want it to be. Like, did you have an idea of like, no, I'm cool doing 5-6 million a year? Or you're like, no, I'm cool doing 52. Like, if it takes us that way, I'll.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, and I think it just depends on the opportunities and, you know, I mean, really just opportunities that are out there and what, you know, what we get into.
This is my personal gut feeling. It has nothing. I have no data to back this up.
Yeah.
But I feel like somebody with your mindset of, I'm just going to remain fluid and flow where the market takes me.
Mm-hmm.
And if it requires growth, we'll grow. And if it requires staying this size, we'll stay this size. I feel like a guy like that, instead of bull in a china shop, has a substantially higher chance of being that 10, 20, $50 million a year business.
I'd be so. Yeah. Yeah. Because I would. Yeah. I would say somebody. Yeah. No, you're good. Yeah. And that.
I just feel like Mother Nature always wins, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Like you can't beat Mother Nature. So the people that survive are the ones that are fluid and can move with it, and they don't force it. And I feel like in business, there's a lot of that same mojo. Like you can't force yourself to 50 million a year.
Right.
It's not possible. It's not. But if you're fluid and adapt to the market, see opportunities, hire strategically, like next thing you know, you're at 50 mil. And I feel like your mindset is like, I'm just going to watch and then process data, make decisions. I feel like that's a very smart approach.
Mm-hmm.
So don't forget me when you hit 50 mil.
Yeah, absolutely, man.
At least send me an Anderson site development T-shirt or something.
I can do that. Yeah, we can definitely make that work.
Yeah. Now I want to frame that thing like he hit 50 mil.
He was on this podcast.
He was on the podcast. I know that guy.
May call you in a year and say, "Hey, man, you hiring?"
Yeah, you might, right? I'm like, yeah, you want to be the host of the show?
Yeah, no doubt.
Oh man, that's funny. So what do you see happening the next 12, 24 months in the economy around here, development of growth? Like what are trends you're looking at so you can make smart decisions moving forward?
Well, I don't know about the rest of the country, but like around here, you know, we've got the port, we've got railroad. We've got a lot of things going forward. We've got 2 major interstates here, and there's a lot happening. There's a lot of industry coming in, and there's a lot of money that the government's got, like grant money for port and stuff like that, that's still unspent. And the BP oil spill from years back, there's still a lot of money there. And I mean, it appears that they're kind of full steam ahead right now. I mean, we're getting bid invites pretty much daily for stuff. And I mean, there's just a lot going on here. And so along with that, with industry coming, you got housing that's, that has to follow to support the growth of the city. And
Right.
so a lot of neighborhoods being built. And so we work Mobile and Baldwin County. That's kind of surrounds Mobile Bay, right here at the lower end of the state. And both of those counties are just, I mean, it's just crazy the amount of stuff coming. So I would think if it would have to get, I would think, pretty bad to affect us really bad here, just because of stuff that's in place that's coming and that's already started, that are multi-year projects, and
Okay.
they're adding on to airports, and like I said, a lot of new industry coming. We've got shipbuilders down here. They're building a massive steel mill, not far from here. And so there's just a lot of things, I think, heading in the right direction, that I really wouldn't foresee much, if any, of a slowdown over the next couple of years.
I think I want to move to Mobile, man. Like up here, they're building houses and businesses are closing.
Yeah. Well, you still hear some of that every once in a while, but it just kind of depends what you're. I don't know, a lot of new stuff, and not so much. Don't see near as much going out as you see coming in.
Yeah.
And so it's just like I said, I think it's kind of makes me feel better, when it's like that. And plus, you don't have 10 or 12 contractors bidding on the same job, so like you may be bidding against a few instead of everybody is slow and they're all trying to get after the same job,
Yeah. I'm going to switch topics real quick, man, because I feel like you've got some good insight on this, whether you know it or not. So to take a business where you started 4 years ago, where you are today, that's going to require an enormous amount of time, focus, mental energy.
Yeah.
How have you been able to maintain a good relationship with your wife through all this?
Well, she is extremely understanding. So I will start off with that. It's probably more her than me, because I probably do a bad job at managing my time, and she does a better job of managing her anger. But that's probably the biggest thing. But I mean, it's just tough. It really is, because I think you've got to be really fully immersed it can't be like a Monday through Friday 8 to 5, or you'll never.
Yeah.
There's not enough hours in a 40 or 50 hour work week to get everything you have done. So like, there's a lot of nights I get home at 8:30, 9 o'clock, and take a shower, eat, and get on the computer and work on bids, or, work on stuff like that. Weekends, I don't like working weekends. I've got 2 kids. And so I try to separate that, but there's, like this past weekend, I worked all weekend, and, this weekend I'm not going to work, but like, it's a really tough balance. So like, you kind of both have to be on the same page of the vision of like, this is where we're heading, and this is just what you have to do. And she's a hard worker, and her dad is her dad's a general contractor, and he's,
she grew up in it.
She worked she grew up in it, and he works. He has always worked his tail off. So it's just part of the territory. If you want a Monday through Friday 8 to 5 job, you just need to work somewhere, because it just doesn't work like that.
Yeah, I will tell you, understanding wife. Like if you have that, awesome, right? And if you can find it, look for it. Like my 2 cents is that my fiance, she travels 5 states for work. She's territory manager for a medical device company. And then I'm here working here. I've just made it a point. We don't have it on the calendar.
Yeah.
But like, come dinner time, if she's in town, I don't care how much work I have left to do. I stop, I pause. I enjoyed either us cooking dinner and eating here or going out for a drink and working. And if I have to come back home and go back to work, that's fine.
Yeah.
But like guys, my friend carves out 40 minutes every morning for morning coffee at 6 a.m., 6:30, right? With his wife, because they don't know what the rest of the day is going to bring. I just feel like you have to have some intentionality of something, whether it's 10 minutes or 30 minutes or an hour, because otherwise it can get real bad real fast.
Yeah, it can. And I mean, and I don't really have a written rule, but like in the afternoons, that's what I try to do when I come in the afternoons is, the kids are usually pretty excited to see me come home. And so try to just make sure we have some time. 'Cause you don't want to work your kids' childhood away either. And, they're just like, screw you, Dad. I don't even know you or anything like that, so definitely don't want that. But yeah, it really is a tough balance, and I need to do a better job about, probably being a little more intentional, with my time and, carving out, quality time with them. It's just tough. It's hard to turn the switch off.
100% it is, man. 100%. I had to set my phone in a different room for a while when I went to bed because any email, I'm like, huh. Now I can have it sitting right next to me, and I'm like, I don't care. I'll look at it. Like, what the hell are you going to do at 9:30 at night, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Bank's closed. This is closed. Like, it'll be there tomorrow. But I mean, it took years to get to that point. Like I've got my friend Mike, who works with me in the business. He's like, you don't get riled up about much, and I'm like, that's because I've been riled up about everything, and the outcome's still the outcome.
Yeah.
Like you can focus on getting riled up, or you can focus on a solution, or you can just let it play out. I mean,
yeah.
And I found a solution or letting it play out works 10x better than worrying more about the problem.
Right. Yeah.
So
for sure.
Yeah,
for sure.
Man. Any thoughts you've got on business, the economy, your area? Like,
man, not really. I don't know if you may have touched on this on other podcasts, but I'm just curious. Like, did you start with manufacturing and then kind of eased into the podcast deal, or?
No, man, not at all. So I went to college in 1995, got a job at a bar in 96, said this is the coolest thing since sliced bread, worked there, dropped out of college because I worked so much at the bar. Ended up buying my first bar at 25 years old. That's what brought me to Peoria. By 27 or 28, we had 2 bars and a restaurant, 100 employees, full and part-time.
Wow.
2008 hit, went back to having just 1 bar. So I was going to be in the bar and restaurant industry, man. That's what I was going to do. And then finally in 2011, I closed the bar. We couldn't sell it. Nobody wanted to buy it. And that business felt like a prison because like I couldn't quit. I had to go in and I couldn't sell it. And I was like, this is what hell must be. Like doing the same thing every day that you hate doing. Like this has got to be what hell is. So I was sitting at home. I had no clue what I was going to do. And a friend of my wife's at the time was a part owner of a manufacturing company. I knew nothing about manufacturing. I knew nothing about construction, but I went and talked to them. They were going to hire me just to do sales. It was $12 an hour plus commission. $12 an hour. And I was like, yeah, I'll do it. It gets me out of the house, stops me, gets that mind going. And they made grader attachments for skid steers. And I was like, well, I don't know shit about it, but they look really good. I don't think I need to run away after I sell it. Like that was a big thing for me. It's like, can you service it after the sale? Or do you like, oh, it was a one-time deal. Leave me alone. And they look pretty good. So I started working there and I was there 14 months. They fired the entire management team, gave me the keys to the building, and we met once a month and I ran it as if I owned the company for the next 8 or 9 years.
Oh, wow.
Because business principles are business principles, right? Like,
right.
The P&L sheet's the same, just the columns are different. Mm-hmm. So the practicality of running that, I had a lot to learn still about manufacturing, but I asked questions. I asked the welders. I asked the foreman. I asked, like, why do we weld this way? Like, have we done a time study on that? Like, made them part of all that process. And then I got out. They wanted to sell the business. And I was like, I'm not working for another. Like, there's no way I have the autonomy that I have now.
Yeah.
So I went to go work for an engineering and machining company as a VP of business development and sales. I was there 6 months when COVID hit. And that was a top-down reduction because they were capital heavy in team for growth. So like 10 of us plus 5 or 6 guys in the shop all got let go. And I was just sitting at home and I think I was having a Tito's soda water and cranberry juice. And I was like, I've had that idea for that website selling attachments for 4 years. I just didn't have a need to do it because I was comfortable.
Yeah. Yeah.
So in April of 2020, I figured out how to build a website on Shopify. I had no clue what I was doing. Like I had a little bit of background in digital marketing, and 4 years later, here we sit, man. And the podcast just kind of grew because I was like, how can we spend time with these guys to develop trust, right? Like the more time you spend with a contractor or a customer, the more they trust you.
Yeah.
So I wanted to spend time with guys like you and the guys that are listening so that when they think of Skid Steer Nation, there's not that question of like, well, I don't know, who are they? Like they go, oh, that's Ryan's business. Like I've heard him talk his principles. He's a good guy. Yeah. I'll check them out for my next attachment. That was kind of my vision for that. And then what happened was I got to meet so many guys like you. And I've learned as much as I've shared, whether it be little tiny nuggets from an episode or just a massive thing where we bring in an expert on marketing or direct mail or something like that. And it's become a favorite part of my week is just meeting guys like you and talking industry shot, hearing your stories. There's always something wild in somebody's story, right? Like, yeah. Like, could you ever imagine looking back and saying, yeah, we're going to be doing multi-million-dollar land site development projects and have a crew of 7 to 9 people? No. Yeah. And that's the coolest part about it. Mm-hmm. Like, that's the coolest part. So yeah, that's my dime store tour of my life and story. Yeah. And, but yeah, I just felt there was a need in the marketplace. I saw a gap and it's kind of shrunk since then. Like the online industry's really changed, but there was a massive gap between the large corporations that were selling attachments and these small mom and pop shops that were making really cool stuff that worked really, really well. Nobody could find them. Right. Yeah. Right. Like it's 5-10 years ago.
Somewhere they can go to a website and find
5-10 years ago, you couldn't, you couldn't find anything like that. Yeah. So the vision was always like, hey, let's build a platform. Take this with a grain of salt. I don't think for a minute I'm anything like them, but like similar to Amazon, where, hey, we can go to Skid Steer Nation and we can find the CL Fabrications, the Do More Equipments, the CMP attachments, the MTWs, the Digas that make these awesome products that I would have never heard. I'd been looking at Quick Attach, Caterpillar, and Bobcat if I was just doing a general search online. Yeah. Yeah. So
for sure.
Well, that was kind of the vision for that.
Yeah. That was really cool. Yeah. That's really cool. Well, heck yeah.
Awesome, man. Well, Jeston, man, I can't thank you enough for taking time out of you. Obviously, it's a busy day. I think every day is busy for you to talk to myself and share your insights and story with everybody.
Well, I appreciate the opportunity and asking me to be on there. It was I enjoyed it. It was good.
Did you think it was a scam when you got the message?
Yeah, a little bit.
I'm telling you,
just about being honest with you.
Yeah. Oh, every week, like pre-recording, the guy's like, "How the hell, Joe? I thought this was some kind of scam, wanting me to be on a podcast." So I was like, "No,
yeah." That was my initial thought. So.
Yeah. That's funny.
Yeah,
it's crazy because, like, we're building a heck of a brand, and it still baffles me that anyone that's on Facebook in this industry hasn't seen it. Little malfunction with the equipment there.
It happens.
Hasn't seen or heard Skid Steer Nation between our large community and our marketing. So it just reminds you how big the world is.
Oh yeah.
There's always opportunities. Never stop knocking.
Absolutely. I would 100% agree with that.
Yeah. The guy I interviewed last week said contacts equals contracts.
I never heard that, but that's really good.
Yeah,
there's a reason why a lot of these sales reps have a huge budget to network. It makes a difference.
And I'll tell you what, it's crazy. Like, go outside of our industry. Like Tracy, she's in medical device sales. She gets called once a week by a headhunter for a job opportunity. And it's not because her sales numbers. It's because she has 15 years of relationships that she could walk a brand new product into how many offices in 5 states.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah.
So it's like they're paying for the relationships.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah.
So.
Absolutely. Well, that's cool. Yeah,
Awesome,
man.
man.
I do greatly appreciate it.
Yeah, we'll let you get back to work. And guys, if you enjoyed Jeston's story, reach out to him, find him on Facebook. We'll put his link in the show notes down below. Say thanks for coming on the show, sharing your story, whatever it is. If you're struggling with your business or you hit a glass ceiling and you're just figuring out, I need to do some more systems, some more processes, I need help with some accountability or breaking through a mind block that I have, don't forget we have Groundbreaking Growth. You can go over to groundbreakinggrowth.com. It's our consulting and coaching arm of our business. We only work with excavation companies. We help you systematize so that you can define your business, make more profits in your business, and eventually scale your business. So groundbreakinggrowth.com, schedule your discovery call with none other than me. So until next week, guys, keep pushing, keep grinding. That's how we get to where we need to go. So be good.